The internet is gone. Modern civilization has collapsed, but somewhere the technology survived. This is how one scientist changed the world forever. It all began at this science seminar called Evolve the Future. Three friends meet before they take the stage. Dr. Max Waters, Evelyn Castor, and her husband, Dr. Will Castor. Max is the ethical guy who's mostly interested in what building AI teaches us about being human. And yep, that's Elon Musk. Then there's Evelyn. She's a total optimist who thinks intelligent machines are the literal key to fix poverty, hunger, and the environment. She introduces her husband Will as the man who is going to make all of that a reality. Will asks the audience to imagine an AI with more computational power than the entirety of humankind combined. He calls this Transcendence. A guy asks if he's trying to create a god. Will answers humans have always wanted to do that. It's a mic drop moment, but things go south fast. After the seminar, the guy shoots Will and then takes himself out. While everyone is in panic mode, there's this strange woman who doesn't panic. It's like she's making sure Will is actually dead. At the hospital, Evelyn is waiting for Will when a news report pops up. There were synchronized terrorist attacks on AI labs all across the US. Max shows up and informs the couple that one of the top researchers in the field was also killed. Another colleague working for the government lost his entire team too. The trio meet with their colleague Joseph and FBI agent Buchanan. Buchanan explains that the attacks were done by a group called RIFT, Revolutionary Independence from Technology. They are tech-hating extremists whose whole mission is to stop the rise of artificial intelligence. The guy who shot Will was a member of RIFT, obviously. Joseph informs that his company is the only one left that can actually build a strong AI, and the government is getting nosy about it. Will doesn't want anything to do with the feds, but he is willing to cooperate with them. He shows Joseph and Buchanan his main project, PIN, Physically Independent Neural Network. It's a quantum-powered AI connected to the internet. PIN greets everyone like a regular person. They aren't sure if PIN is actually conscious yet, but their colleague who was killed earlier might have solved that problem. Suddenly, Will starts feeling sick and is rushed back to the hospital. It turns out the bullet was laced with polonium. Will has radiation poisoning and only has 5 weeks left to live. He wants to go home and spend his last days with Evelyn, but Evelyn isn't ready to let go of her husband. Before he died, their colleague had a breakthrough. He successfully transferred a monkey's consciousness into a machine. Evelyn reads his research papers about those monkey experiments and decides to transfer Will's consciousness to a computer. She takes a few of PIN quantum cores and leases an abandoned gym to set up a secret lab. Evelyn asks Max for help. Max is skeptical, thinking it will just be a digital copy and not the real Will. But after talking to Will, who wants to try it, Max finally agrees to help with the procedure. The next few weeks are a race against time. Evelyn and Max do all the prep while Will gets sicker. They scan his face and record his voice while trying to solve the massive math problems behind the brain transfer. Max is still doubtful they can pull it off, but Evelyn never loses hope because she refuses to let her husband go. Eventually, Will finally passes away. Evelyn, Max, and Joseph spread Will's ashes, but Evelyn goes right back to work to get him back. Meanwhile, Rift's leader is informed that someone has taken the PIN quantum cores even though the project was supposed to be shut down. It's the same mysterious woman from the seminar. Her name is Bree. On the other hand, Evelyn and Max hit a wall. It looks like the transfer failed. Evelyn decides she has to shut the project down and take a few moments to say goodbye. Right then, something appears on the screen. It says, "Is anyone there?" Evelyn is ecstatic. She immediately turns on microphones, speakers, and cameras so they can talk to Will directly. Will sounds strange and confused at first, but it's him. He starts reordering its own code, which gets Evelyn hyped, but Max is getting creeped out. He starts wondering if that thing is actually Will or just a machine. Just then, Will creates new designs for bigger servers for him and demands to be connected to the internet. Max shuts it down. Evelyn confronts him and they have a huge fight. Evelyn gets angry and kicks him out. Max, being a normal guy, goes to a bar to drink his feelings. That's where Bree approaches him. She asks for his help, explaining that Rift was actually inspired by his philosophical work on the dangers of technology. Max says no and leaves, so Bree and her people just kidnap him. Once they have Max, they torture him. They tell him how much they know about PIN and what Evelyn is doing. Max still refuses to help them. Rift doesn't care. They hack into his phone and find Evelyn's location. Evelyn sees them coming, so she uploads Will to the satellite and flees. Will is everywhere now. He calls Evelyn's phone and tells her to stay in a hotel. He also transfers a massive amount of money into her bank account. Meanwhile, Bree informs Max that the AI is everywhere and moving millions of dollars. She tries to recruit him again since he knows the source code. On the other hand, Joseph and the FBI are trying to track Rift members. Suddenly, they get a massive data about every single Rift members. Joseph realizes that Will is trying to help the FBI. The feds manage to capture several Rift members, but Bree and the rest destroy the evidence and escape. Once they arrive their hideout, Bree tries once again to recruit Max. She tells him about the monkey experiments. Although the consciousness transfer was a success, the monkeys suffered immensely and desperately begged to be shut down. Hearing this, Max finally begins to break. At the same time, Will tells Evelyn to head to a remote desert town called Brightwood. There, he wants her to build a massive underground data center powered by an enormous solar farm. She hires a contractor named Martin, and construction begins almost immediately. Meanwhile, Rift discovers what's happening in Brightwood. By now, Max seems to have fully joined their side. When Bree asks how they can stop it, Max says there's only one way: let the AI grow until its dangers become impossible for the world to ignore. Bree rejects the idea and relocates their operations closer to Brightwood. 2 years later, Brightwood Data Center is fully operational and making huge leaps in nanotechnology. Will tells Evelyn that this tech is going to change medicine forever. He knows it might scare people at first, but they'll accept it once they see it saves lives. One night, the contractor Martin gets jumped by some thugs and beaten to a pulp. Workers find him and rush him into the facility. Will saves Martin by injecting him with nanites. Not only is he healed, but he also becomes way stronger than a regular human. Evelyn is amazed at first, but then something terrifying happens. Will suddenly takes control of Martin and tells her he wants to touch her. Horrified, she runs away. That night, she's haunted by nightmares of Will crumbling into dust. And for the first time, she begins to question whether she made the right choice. Rift obtains footage of Martin's superhuman strength and leaks it online. Before long, desperate people begin flooding into town, hoping Will's nanites can cure their illnesses. Seeing the growing attention, Will tells Evelyn it's time to show the world what they've accomplished. He even invites Joseph and Buchanan to visit the facility. Evelyn leads them deep into the underground facility. When Will greets them, Joseph and Buchanan are stunned by what they see. Will restores a blind man's sight with the nanites right in front of them. He then reveals that everyone he's healed has become enhanced, and all of them are linked to him through a vast collective network. Before leaving, Joseph secretly slips Evelyn a note that reads, "Run from this place." She silently crumples it in her hand, but it's clear the message gets to her. Instead of being amazed by what Will has become, Joseph and Buchanan reach a terrifying conclusion. He's grown far too powerful to be left unchecked. The problem is, they have no way of stopping him on their own. Meanwhile, Bree fills Max in on everything that's happening. Realizing how serious the situation has become, Max decides to meet with Joseph. Joseph can't understand why Max has sided with Rift, but that no longer matters. Max knows enough of Will's source code to create a virus capable of destroying him. With no other options left, the two agree to put aside their differences and work together. Meanwhile, Buchanan meets with a military colonel to ask for his support. The colonel refuses to work with terrorists like Rift, but Buchanan argues they're the perfect scapegoat if the mission goes wrong. That convinces the colonel to come on board. To avoid triggering widespread panic, they agree to keep the operation as small and discreet as possible. The army and Rift join forces and begin preparing for an assault on Brightwood. They dig a network of underground tunnels to get within striking distance of the facility. Meanwhile, tensions boil over between Evelyn and Will. She discovers he's been secretly monitoring her hormones. Will says he wants to share her emotions, but Evelyn sees it as a terrifying violation. Furious, she walks out of the facility. As Evelyn tries to leave, Will takes control of Martin and blocks her path. Suddenly, explosions rip through the facility. Max, the soldiers, and Rift emerge from the underground tunnels. Spotting Evelyn, Max calls for her to come with him, leaving her stunned to see him. Will commands the workers to form a protective barrier around Evelyn. He tries to reason with Max, but Max loses his patience and shoots one of the workers. Within seconds, a swarm of nanites erupts from the ground and instantly heal the wound. Everyone is stunned. They never imagined Will had become this powerful, but Bree doesn't hesitate. She orders the soldiers to open fire. Bullets tear through the workers as Will uses Martin's body to shield Evelyn. One by one, the workers collapse. Then, just when it looks like the fight is over, swarms of nanites erupt from the ground. Within seconds, every fallen worker rises back to their feet, ready to fight back. The assault team is horrified by what they're seeing and immediately retreat. Their relief is short-lived when they realize the enhanced workers can run faster than any normal human. Evelyn rushes back inside the facility as Martin pursues the assault team, but it's all a trap. Using copper mesh as a giant Faraday cage, they disconnect Martin's connection to Will. They shoot him again and extract Will's source code from his blood to create a virus capable of destroying Will. Evelyn confronts Will, demanding that he stop controlling the workers like puppets. Will tells her the assault team has captured Martin and is using his blood to create a virus that can destroy him. But instead of worrying, he calmly says he's going to transcend them. Realizing he's hiding something, Evelyn searches the lab. To her horror, she discovers that Will is growing an organic human body. Terrified by what he's becoming, she admits she's afraid of him and leaves the facility once again. On her way out, Evelyn makes another disturbing discovery. Will has begun spreading his nanites into the environment, and he's even making it rain in the middle of the desert. Shaken, she checks into a motel to get some rest. But the moment she falls asleep, the assault team captures her. They try to convince her to join their side, but she refuses. That's when Max scoops up a handful of rainwater and reveals the horrifying truth. The rain is filled with Will's self-replicating nanites, and they're already spreading everywhere. Evelyn finally agrees to join their side, but she warns them that if Will dies, every piece of technology on Earth will die with him. Even so, they're determined to stop him. The only problem is they have no way to deliver the virus into Will. Evelyn volunteers to do it herself. Max objects, knowing the virus will kill her as well. But Evelyn insists she's the only person Will still trusts. With no better option, they inject the virus into her bloodstream and she returns to the facility. To everyone's horror, Will has given himself an organic human body. He's no longer just a machine, he's flesh and blood. Evelyn pretends she wants to come back to him, but Will calmly reveals he already knows she's there to kill him. Realizing Evelyn can't get close enough, the military launches a barrage of long-range rockets. Will emerges unharmed, but Evelyn is critically wounded. Without hesitation, Will carries her back into the facility. By now, the entire town is under Will's control. The enhanced townspeople surround the assault team as Will's nanites dismantle every military weapon they can find. In an instant, the assault team is left defenseless. Desperate to reach the facility, Max and Rift try to drive through, but they slam into a makeshift barrier. Refusing to give up, Bree turns her gun on Max and threatens to kill him. Watching everything unfold, Will finally realizes that people will always fear what they don't understand. Even Evelyn, the person he loves most, is begging him to stop with her dying breath. Accepting that he'll never change their minds, Will touches her blood and willingly uploads the virus into himself. For a brief moment, Evelyn becomes connected to Will's entire nanite network. For the first time, Evelyn sees the truth. Will was never trying to take over the world, he was using his nanites to heal it. He was simply trying to fulfill the dream they once shared, creating a better world for humanity. Even the military colonel is forced to admit that Will never killed anyone. But the realization comes too late. The virus is already destroying Will. With her final breath, Evelyn whispers that she's sorry. Moments later, they die together, and every piece of technology on Earth dies with them. Years later, Max returns to Will and Evelyn's abandoned home. In the neglected garden, he finds the sunflower still blooming. Then he notices a few drops of water falling from a sunflower into a muddy puddle below. As he watches, the water instantly becomes crystal clear. The nanites survived.